That's a pretty dirty silver, Matt. We'll have to wash it soon, but not right now, because we've got another constitutional or junk silver hunt to do today. Hey everybody, it's Rob with RobFindsTreasure, and I decided it was time to stock up on some quarters. I went ahead and picked up $90.75 face value, or 363 silver quarters from my silver dealer. Now obviously I paid a certain multiplier times face value for these based on the silver spot price. That being said, I'm hoping, because I got it at a silver dealer and not a local coin shop, that maybe I can find some pretty decent semi-key or key date quarters in there. You never know. But more importantly, we're looking for a 37D. I do not have one in my collection. And if we can find any of the heirs and varieties for the double die verses and some of the proof strike reverses for some of the quarters. First things first though, we've got to get them separated by decade, then by year, then by mint, and then the hunt will begin. Let me get them separated by decade first and bring it back once we got that accomplished. That is a beautiful sight. And that's a beautiful 57. Proof quarter. All right, we've got them stacked by decade. We've got the 60s here. We've got the 50s here, the 40s here, the 30s there. And then we were fortunate enough to get quite a bit of proof quarters in here as well. 57, 58, no 59, 60, no 61, a couple of 62, 63, and 64s. And I'll take those bad boys. Wasn't expecting those to be in the bag. We also got one barber quarter. It's a 1902 Philadelphia, pretty trashy, as well as a 1929 SLQ. Not that bad. We got a legible date. So I'll take those bonuses. For the sake of time on this video, I'm not going to check any of the 60s for any heirs and varieties. And for the 50s, I'm only going to be checking the 1950 Ds and S's for the over mint marks, the D over S or the S over D. Let me get those tubed up, these put aside, and we'll see how many 50s, 1950 at least, we have. So I've gone through the 50s and 60s, and I know I told you I wouldn't check for anything other than the 1950 D over S or the 50 S over D. But I do want to make a point. I didn't show the filming of it, but from 1956 through 1964, some of the quarters were accidentally struck with the proof reverse. They can call that a type B reverse, and in some it's a type A or type C reverse. But I couldn't resist checking the reverses of all 1956s through 1964s. In 1957, on the Philadelphia minted quarter, there is a type B reverse. What that means is it's a proof strike, and it's easiest to tell, and I'll grab another one to give you an idea. Here's a standard 1957 reverse. You can see in States of America, the E and the S are practically touching each other, and the tail feathers on the eagle are not well struck. Matter of fact, that's how regular strike quarters were struck. Tail feathers were not very bold, and the E and the S in States were practically touching with very little of a gap. But on the proof quarters, they made significant better stamping, and the E and the S are separated, and the tail feathers have a much better bold clarity. If you look at this one, we clearly have a gap between E and S, and if I bring it down to the tail feathers, you can clearly see the amount of detail on this line right here, how heavy that is struck. Despite the coin being worn really well and in poor shape, you can clearly see the bottom arc of those tail feathers. Once again, if I bring up a standard one and put it under here, it's broken up, it's not heavily struck, not a very well struck coin at all, as is typical of business strikes. So that being said, I went on the PCGS website and I went ahead and grabbed up a 57 Type B reverse FS901 regular strike with the proof reverse. And when I hover over the E and the S, there's a gap just like mine. And when I go over the tail feathers, you can clearly see how thick that arc is at the base of the tail feathers. There's other markers as well, but the bottom line is, I believe I have found a 1957 Type B reverse FS 901 regular strike, basically a regular business strike quarter with a proof reverse. I'll take it. First one I have found. It's not going to be worth very much in this condition because even in mint state 67, $423, and mine is not in mint state whatsoever. And if we go back down here, you're looking at even an extremely fine $10 coin. I don't have a Type B reverse for 57. We'll add it to the collection and now move on to the 40s. So the good news is I've got all the years covered from the 40s. We've got a couple in 1940 all the way up to even some in 1949. Now there's quite a few things to look for in here, and I won't cover them all, but I will definitely be looking for any 1940 Denver minted quarters, as that is a semi-key date. I'll be checking for the 1942 Denver minted double die obverse, the 43P and the 43S for some double die obverses, as well as any 1949s minted in Philadelphia, because that is also under 10 million. I'll also point out that 1942S is a tougher date to find as well. So with that being said, while I have you live, let's just see if I'm lucky enough to have a 1940 with a Denver mint. We have a 1940S. I got excited for a second. Still, a 1940S is under 10 million minted. It is a little bit better of a date. This is not in great shape by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a 1940S, and I'll take it. I thought for sure we'd have two Philadelphias. Now that I still have you here, let's go ahead and check the 1949s to see if we have any from Philadelphia. Denver, Denver, and I believe that's a Philadelphia mint. And it is. So a better date 1949 Philly and a better date 1940S. Not too bad to kick us off in the 40s. Now let me get the 42s and the 43s separated to see if we have those years with the mint marks that are double die obverses. So unfortunately on the 442Ds that I had, none were the doubled die obverse. Surprisingly, I did have 3 42Ss. Now why this is not a semi-key date, it is under 20 million minted and in extremely fine condition. They're about 10 bucks a piece. These are not in extremely fine condition, but still always good seeing some better dates in your purchases. We'll add them to the rolls and move on to the 43s. So no double die obverse for the 43Ps or the S's. Good news is we did have 3 S's to look at and 5 Ps to look at. And we even scored a 43D in terrible shape, but 16 million minted. So not much in the 40s. The rest of these are just going to go into rolls because there's not much to look for and the condition is not that great. But we do have a handful of 30s to go through, and I'm missing a 37D for my book, so I'm hoping one's in there. So we've got a great assortment of the 30s. Washington quarters started in 1932. We actually have a 32 in here. None were minted in 33. That's why there's 0, and you wouldn't expect to have one. We've got some 34, 35, 36, 37, 38s, and 39s. There's a lot of good semi-key dates in here as well. So obviously, the question of the day is, I haven't even looked at the back of this one, but this is a 1932. It would be something else to get a 32 DRS. That's a key date in the Washington series. No mint mark is a very common 1932. Even though it's under 10 million minted, still doesn't hold much value at all unless it's in the high grades, and this is not. Is there a mint mark? We couldn't get lucky. Standard 32 Philadelphia. Moving on to 1934. There are some doubled die varieties I'll be looking for. No key dates or semi-key dates. Neither for 35. Now, when we get to 36, we're looking for anything with a mint mark. The D is a semi-key, and even in EF40, it's like over 50 bucks. Now, I don't think we'll have anything in EF40 condition, but I'll definitely take a D or an S, which is a lot better of a date as well. So while I have you here, we'll do it live. See if we have any 36 D or S's. Likely not, but we'll look together anyway. Few more left. Had to do a double take on that one. And final one. And as expected, no semi-key dates in there. But that's how it goes. When you do a junk silver purchase, you're not really expecting a score every time, although we have scored sometimes. For 1937, there's a great doubled die obverse, which we'll be checking on the Philadelphia Mint. But again, we're looking for a mint mark, D or S. Those are more valuable. And we have a 37S right here. Unbelievable. 37S, 1.6 million minted, and we've got one. This coin in EF40 condition is about a $35 coin. Of course, this is not EF condition, but it's a $10 to $15 coin in this condition all day, and I'll take it. That's a good score. We'll check those in a minute for their doubled die. Now, I've kept my Redbook out here, and I have a link in the video description below to help you look for things, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't give any bad information on which mints had double dies, which ones are semi-key or key dates, so I wanted to have it handy for me. Now we're going to 1938. We only have one over here, and the star of the 38 year would either be an S or technically even a P. They're both a lot better dates, but we want an S. Hopefully this is a 38S, but we already know it's a better date regardless. So it's a 38P, 38P in EF40 condition is $15 in the Redbook. That's not EF40, but it's not terrible either, so we'll take it. In 1939, we've got a couple of things to look for. Obviously, it'd be nice to score a 39S, even a D, but at least if we have one with a mint mark, that'd make me really happy. Let's take a look at these. 1939, Philly. Of course, the one with the graffiti scratches is a Denver mint, and 1939 Denver is a better date, but that one's terrible. Two more left, and that's another Denver. And that's another Denver. Either way, we did get 3 of the 4 39s were a better date, and I'll take it. Now let me check my 34s for the double die verses, see if I got any, as well as my 37s. If I find something with those, I'll bring it back in. Otherwise, we'll see you at the wrap-up. Well, unfortunately, we did not find any doubled dies in the remaining 30s years. And you know what's really a bummer? Is we found that 1937S. And I said it at the start, I'm missing 1/4 in my quarter book, and it's a 37D. Harder to get the 37S than it is the 37D, and I just can't seem to find it. We've got them all every year that we need, except for the 37D, and once again, I'm trumped. The good news is we added a lot more quarters to the stack, and we did get a 37S. We did find a 38P, as well as 3 39Ds, if I recall correctly. Yes, all better dates. And then the find of the hunt, other than the 37S, would have to be this 1957 Type B proof reverse Washington quarter. Hopefully you enjoyed this constitutional silver search. It was all quarters this time. I had a lot of fun. Would have been nice to add the missing element to the folder, but just makes me want to go back out and get some more quarters. If you did enjoy it, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And as always, everyone, happy hunting, and thanks for watching. Guess I failed to mention that I'll also be adding the proofs that we scored to my roll of quarter proofs.